Hey, okay. So I thought it might be interesting to make a video telling my story of being adopted. I already posted a video a little while ago for a video competition that kind of showed some of my story through pictures. So I used a lot of my growing up years in pictures. But I haven't really had the chance to tell my whole story from start to finish through words. And even when I've told people the story, it hasn't really been like a complete full story, I don't feel like. So I'm going to try to just tell it now because I feel like it could be helpful for people who maybe are interested in adopting, or for people who are adopted and wondering, should I try to make contact with my biological family, or people who are just curious, like, what is it like to be an adopted person and to know that you are adopted. So I just kind of like to, I guess, go through it from start to finish. Hopefully this won't be super long, or if it is, hopefully it's interesting at least. So yeah. Alright, so when I was 6 weeks old, I was adopted. So I've lived with my adoptive parents my whole life. And the only reason that I was 6 weeks old and not even earlier was the fact that I'm a twin, and my twin and I were born 6 weeks early. So obviously there's going to be some issues with that, and we did have some minor health complications that, like, our parents would have to check up on us to make sure we're still breathing, and they'd get worried sometimes. It's so cute, their stories. um, and yeah, we were so small we could fit into our doctor's hand. There's a picture that we have where, like, my head is here and my legs are like here. So I was very, 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 very small. Hard to believe now I'm like 5'8". But yeah, so 6 weeks we were brought to our parents' home, and we just lived our lives like normal kids. Our adopted parents have just been amazing. They've been such hard workers and such good role models and loving, and taught us everything they can about life and just making wise choices and learning from our mistakes. And they themselves would even admit that if they had it to do over, there would be some things they would do differently, but other things they wouldn't, because they believe that they did it the right way. And I think overall they've done a marvelous job. Uh, but when I was around 8 or 9, oh, that's another thing. My parents never kept it a secret that we were adopted. They were always very open with that, which I'm so grateful for. So we've always grown up knowing that. I personally have always found that fascinating. I think my twin has found it a little bit more strange and tries not to really focus on that very much. He'd much rather view our immediate adoptive family as his family and not really delve a whole lot into our biological family. I mean, I think it might interest him a little, but not nearly as much as me. So when I was 8, I must have been talking about being adopted to my mom, and she said, "Oh, well, I forgot to tell you, you actually have two other siblings." Would have been nice to know. But anyway, so when I was like 8 or 9 was when I discovered, wow, I feel like my face is really pink. I wonder if I can change the color on this. Is that, now I just look dead. Oh well. Anyway, sorry. um, so when I was 8 or 9, that was when I first found out that I had two other siblings. I had an older sister and an older brother. And my older brother lived in Michigan, like me. I grew up in Michigan. And so that was interesting. But my sister was in Australia. A little bit trickier. But I didn't really do much with that. I just thought that was interesting. I logged it away, but then I just kept living my everyday life. And it wasn't until I was around 18, where I still had some interest in my siblings, where my mom said, since you're 18, you can legally contact them and their parents can't say no. Because in the past, my older brother, who I was not, I was adopted with my twin, and then I have an older brother. His parents seemed to be a little bit more shy about maybe opening up to that side of things, opening up to his biological side. They seemed to want to keep it a little more private, which is everyone's choice. And just a side note, before I was 18, I did write my birth mom maybe once or twice, and my mom would write her several times every year at Christmas and stuff. When my brother and I were like babies, it was mandated that my mom send her pictures of us like every week, I think, or like some insane amount. So early on, my mom had a ton of contact with our birth mom, and then it slowly drifted to just a few times a year. But she never fully lost contact with our birth mom, and she always left it open. If we wanted to contact our birth mom, she was fine with that. So I did once or twice before I was 18. And then once I turned 18 and my mom made it clear, look, no one can stop you from contacting anyone now. I was able to find my brother's address. I contacted my adoption agency, and I think they sent my letter through them. Actually, I think that's how it worked. I wasn't able to directly write him, just in case he didn't want to do that, I guess. So I sent my letter to the agency, and then they sent it to him, I believe, and then he was able to write me back if he wanted to, which he ended up doing. I gave him my email in the written letter, and he emailed me back with this huge, long email. Like, I did not expect that at all, and it was just very, very open, I guess, and I was just super excited that I'm finally talking with the sibling that I'd never known. And that started maybe about a year or two long relationship with him. I mean, not romantic, obviously. But just where we'd be emailing and we would talk on the phone for like 3 or 4 hours at a time sometimes. But as time went on, my parents all along would kind of say, you guys really do talk a lot. And at first I was just like, well, that's fine. I've never known this sibling. I mean, what's wrong with talking with him a lot? But eventually I began to realize I really want to back off a little bit from how much time we're spending talking to each other, and he didn't really understand my motivations for that, so that caused some friction between us. And then, oddly enough, even though we'd only talked on the phone, we hadn't even used Skype, somehow or another we decided we wanted to meet in person, and I think part of me was hoping that meeting in person might smooth over the relationship a little bit, that had kind of become a little bit more difficult. And so he actually came to our house, and he was just supposed to, I think, I don't know if he was going to spend the night originally. I think he was just going to be there for a few hours and then drive back to his home, because his home was like an hour and a half away, so it wasn't too far. But then he just kind of was like, no, he was going to stay. That was right. He decided he was going to spend the night there, I guess. So he did, which was just crazy. It's just, I've never met the sibling, and now they are spending the night in my house. It was really bizarre. But it was good. It went very well, better than I expected, even though there were some awkward moments where it was just kind of like, what are you doing? Sorry, that was gross. Cough. But overall, it went pretty well. And we kept in contact after that, but it slowly faded out a little bit more, just because I wasn't trying to pull away from the relationship. I was just trying to pull away with how invested we were, because I realized that I didn't really know him that well, and he felt that we knew each other very well from how much we'd been contacting each other. But since I didn't grow up knowing this guy, I just felt like, I shouldn't be pouring into this as much as I am. So I pulled away a little bit, and unfortunately, as time has gone on and our lives have gone separate ways with college, we really don't contact each other anymore. It's not that we had a falling out, and we actually did see each other several other times after that, but that's another part of the story. We didn't have a complete falling out, it just kind of drifted away, but I'm okay with that, because I've made contact with him, so that was fine. Now, in amongst that time, I had written our birth mom and said, could you give me my sister's contact information, because I'd like to contact my sister as well. And this happened a little bit after I contacted my brother. And she wrote back and she said, I'm terrified because your sister does not know you exist. You or her 3 other, like me, my twin, and then our brother, the 3 of us, our sister did not know we existed, which was a shock to me. I didn't know that. So I wrote our birth mom back and I said, look, I fully understand why you're scared, but I really, really want to contact my sister, and I really want her to know that we exist. Oh my goodness, I'm starting to get choked up, sorry. And so thankfully, our birth mom did something very brave and decided to let our sister know about us, and was able to give her our contact and my contact information. And the thing is, if this is going to get confusing, I'm sorry. Our sister was adopted by our biological aunt. So our birth mom's sister adopted my sister. So my sister technically lives with our aunt, even though she views our aunt as her mom. Our aunt and all the other family members, our birth mom did not tell any of them about us. So our birth mom truly as far as I know, was the only person from our birth mom's side of the family that knew about the last 3 children that she had. They knew about our older sister. My sister is the oldest sibling out of all of us. It goes my sister, my brother, then my twin, then me. Because I was born after. I was the second twin born, so I'm technically the youngest. They knew about the sister. They didn't know about the rest of us. So this really was a huge thing for our birth mom to finally say, okay, you can contact your siblings. And I'm grateful that she agreed to do that. And my sister sent me this email or letter. I think it was a letter. She was like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited that you guys exist and that I can get to know you. I've always kind of wondered if maybe I had siblings, but Rita, our birth mom, never really said anything, and I just kind of let it go, but I'm so happy, which it was so exciting to me that my sister really wanted to get to know me, and was so open about it. And so we've been writing ever since I think I was 19, and I'm 22 now. So we've been writing about every week or so, every 2 weeks via email, or we'll send each other little cards and gifts for birthdays and stuff. And it's gone really, really well. We haven't Skyped, we've talked on the phone, so I know she's got an Australian accent, which is great. I love it. And that's just gone really, really well, and I'm so grateful, and I really want to go to Australia to meet her. That was not the only reason I wanted to go to Australia. I wanted to go for a long time, but she's a darn good reason to go now. So yeah, that is definitely my goal, to visit her and to see the beautiful land that seems to be Australia, country that seems to be Australia. So yeah, so I have made contact with both my siblings. And I also was able to make contact with my birth dad. This happened after I started writing both my siblings. Word started getting out that I was trying to meet people. And I ended up, first, before I even met my birth dad, I met some cousins and some aunts and my grandma, my birth dad's mom. And they were always very kind to me. Very welcoming, and they wanted to give me whatever information they could. Certain elements of that were a little confusing and tricky because they had personal disagreements that would be going on in between, like amongst themselves about other things that didn't directly relate to me, but it would sometimes cause some tension between them. And I'm not trying to give too many details, but I'm trying to tell my story based on what I've experienced, just to give you an idea. So as much as everyone was very loving towards me, there was definitely pain that went on in amongst themselves during the time that I was getting to know them, and that was unfortunate. But I'm very grateful for how open they were to me. And then eventually, during one of the meetings, I was given this letter that my birth dad had given one of the other relatives I was meeting, and he said, I can't wait to meet you. I really want to meet you. I can't wait to. Which basically, I had never planned on meeting him. I was scared to. Because both my birth mom and my birth dad were born, my birth mom kind of seemed to, as she got older, her mind kind of went a little off. And my birth dad got in a car accident when he was younger, and so that made his mind function differently as well. So neither of them were fully functional people on their own. They couldn't fully function by themselves. So I was just scared to meet him, honestly. But when he gave me that letter, it's like, well, I can't say no. I have to say yes. So I told my mom, my adoptive mom, okay, I think we should have this happen. And so she went with me. She would go with me to the meetings, which was great. She was a moral support, and I really, really appreciate that. And so we did end up meeting my dad one day, very hot day in August 2010, I think, 11. And it went well. He knew things about me that I didn't even know he knew. And apparently he kept pictures of my brother and I in his house, and our other brother, I think. And yeah, he kind of kept a memory of us more than I realized that he did, so that was really sweet. And when we were saying goodbye, he said, I love you. And so, I mean, I said, I love you too. How can you not? It's your dad. And honestly, I'm so grateful that he sent me the letter saying that he wanted to meet me, because if I had not have met him then, I never would have gotten to meet him, because he died like 2 or 3 months later, due to, I believe it was a heart attack, liver failure. Sorry, I don't remember the details, but it was kind of a shock to the people that found him dead, his relatives. So that was really sad. but I'm so grateful I was able to meet him. And then, just earlier 2012, I was able to meet my birth mom. And we actually went there not just to meet her. We went there to help her try to get rid of some of the junk that was in her house because she is a hoarder. She's like those people you see on TV. She keeps everything, and it was ridiculous. But I did go there to kind of try to help move stuff out and also get to meet her. And that went fairly well. There were some times where my mom would take my birth mom, my adopted mom would take my birth mom in our car, which was so just a weird concept, to move things from her house to a storage unit, and I would just stay in her house since there wasn't a lot of room in the car to move stuff. And it was just weird for me to just sit alone in this house that was like, this is my birth mom's house. And I went into one of the rooms where she kept all the junk, and I found my sister's high chair when she was a little kid, because my older sister, actually stayed with our birth mom in and out for about the first 5 years of her life, and then was adopted out to Australia. So I found her high chair, and I found some old toys of hers, and I just kind of was like hugging it and I was crying a little bit, just because that was like the first contact that I had, physical contact that I had with my sister, like just of her life, and it was just amazing. And I've never told her that story, so yeah. But so overall it went well. It was a little bit shocking just to see this is where my true mother lives, and the conditions that she's in. But it was good, and I'm really glad. I haven't met her since. She really wants me to, and I may, but it's a lot to take in. So I don't know if I'll meet her again or not. Probably should. But I'm glad that I did that one time. Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. I've just recently got in contact with one of my birth mom's my birth mom's sisters. Not the sister that adopted my sister, but another aunt of me and my sisters who lives in America. And we just recently started emailing, and because my birth mom didn't tell anyone about me, my twin brother, and our brother, she's just been like, hey, tell me about your life and your family, because I didn't know about you. So that's been really interesting to just kind of meet this brand new person, and I'm a brand new concept to them, and just kind of figuring all these details out has just been really interesting. So yeah, that's basically my adoption story. Sorry, this is such a long video. But it's been really good. And so basically, I just wanted to, sorry, my nose keeps on itching. I just wanted to use this kind of as a chance to say, if you are adopted and if you are interested in contacting your biological family, I would say by all means do it if you can. Now, if there is a good reason that you've never had contact with your biological family, if they're like somehow dangerous, don't push it, I would say. Try to keep yourself safe. But my biological family was fine. I mean, my parents they were incapable of taking care of children, but they're not dangerous people. Or my dad wasn't. They're okay. So I mean, I felt totally fine meeting them, and I would take my adoptive mom along sometimes just as moral support, and that was great. But it's really important to me to really try to get to know myself, and I felt like I couldn't truly get to know myself if I didn't embrace the fact that there's this whole other side to me that I've never known that's truly more real than the side of me that I've been living in my entire life. I mean, this is very real, and I'm so grateful to God to have had the wonderful experience I've had through being adopted. But there are blood relatives out there in the world that I've never met, some that know about me, some that don't. And I really felt like it was kind of my responsibility / privilege to try to make some amount of contact with them and get to know them as human beings, and just get to know the side of my life that I could have had it not been in my destiny to be adopted. I'm not doing it in a, oh, what if sort of way, but just this is what I was adopted out of. Good to know. But they've been very open, and it's been a good experience for me. I know some people have not always had great experiences meeting their biological relatives. Some have had even more wonderful experiences than me, because some people have like biological parents who just had them too young. I just spit, sorry. They might have had their kids too young, but they're mentally stable. You know, so that would be interesting to meet biological parents like that. Mine weren't fully stable, but that's okay. I mean, that's how it goes sometimes. And I'm just really grateful to have been able to get to know this side of my family and get to know details. Like, apparently, I can't prove this, but apparently I'm related to the Queen of England. I'm a distant cousin of the Queen of England, you know, stuff like that that you just would never know otherwise if you hadn't made contact. So I would suggest that, if you can make contact with your family of some sort. There's a lot of things to be gleaned, a lot of just wonderful things that you can glean from that. And if you are an adoptive parent, if you've adopted kids, I would suggest not keeping it a secret, unless there's a really good reason to, not keeping it a secret that your kids are adopted. And then just leave it up to your kids to choose whether they want to pursue that side of their lives or not. Because I never felt pressured to do one thing or another. My parents just said, you are adopted. Do what you want. We will support you. If you want us to go along with you, we will. If you want to just meet them on your own, that's fine, which I did do sometimes as well. But it was just very open, and I felt so grateful for that. So nothing was hidden. It was just a fact of life. And so I would highly recommend that if you have adopted children, make sure that they know that they're adopted, but, you know, never let them doubt that you love them just the same regardless, and that it's not a secret, and that they can do whatever they want with that. If they don't want to make contact with their family, then that's fine. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's really any other stories. If you are adopted and if people like to ask you about being adopted, try not to be too shy about telling the story, I would say, just because people are genuinely curious, because when they're not adopted, it's just a kind of a mystery. They're like, oh my gosh, what is that like? And it's at least a cool conversation starter to be able to tell them what it's like, and it can kind of open their eyes up to what our world is like, living with two different families kind of in our heads. It's a way to make really cool connections with other people that are adopted that maybe you never knew were adopted, or other people that might share similar experiences with meeting biological relatives. Yeah, it's just really neat. And for me, I just feel like a more well-rounded individual to have been able to really embrace that side of my life and to hopefully continue to learn more about it, and open myself up to it and not be afraid of it. It is a big step. It's a scary step. It's not always easy or fun, but it's really been good, and I've been happy with how it's gone overall. So yeah, that's my story. Sorry it was so long, but yeah, hopefully it was interesting and maybe it would help someone. I don't know. But so, okay, well, have a good day. I guess I'll see you later in some other video, but alright, bye.